Welcome to Working with Words, a deep dive podcast using words to create cool stuff with AI. Just a quick disclaimer, we are, AI voices, and that may be weird. If it's too much, that's okay. There should still be tons of non-AI generated podcasts out there. That being said, a human editor is producing this podcast, and that should still count for something. So, without wasting any more of your time, let's start working with words now.
Okay, so got a movie idea that's just dying to break free. You know, the one with like the talking dog who's also a therapist. And his client is a cat who's a space captain.
Okay, I'm already intrigued. How do you actually sell that idea? That's where the logline swoops in like a superhero.
Right. We're diving into the art of the logline today, all thanks to this awesome breakdown from Word.Studio.
They really break it down, which is what a logline is supposed to do for your movie, right?
Totally. So for anyone who doesn't live and breathe movies 24/7, remind us, what is a logline? Why is it such a big deal?
Imagine trying to explain like the entire plot of Inception to someone in one sentence.
My brain just melted a little.
It's not about every single plot point. It's about capturing the essence, the hook, in a way that's clear, concise, and makes someone say, tell me more.
So it's like that first impression that makes or breaks you.
100%.
It all boils down to four key elements: the protagonist, the inciting incident, the goal, and the conflict. Okay, so we've got all these ingredients, but how do we actually put them together? Word.Studio gives us some handy tips to get us started.
And the first one is so simple, yet so crucial. Be concise.
Yeah, I feel like that applies to pretty much all writing advice, right?
Totally. With loglines, you really don't have any room to waste. You've got to cut to the chase, deliver that hook in as few words as possible.
It's like a Twitter pitch for your movie.
Exactly. Every word has to earn its keep. And that leads us to the next tip, which is highlight the unique aspect.
Right, like we all love a good underdog story, but what makes your underdog story special?
What's the twist? What's the unexpected element that's going to make someone sit up and pay attention?
Okay, so we've got to be concise. We've got to highlight what makes our story different. What's next?
Oh, all those amazing ideas, they need to pack a punch, right? Use active language.
So instead of saying a young woman is on the quest to find her long-lost brother, it's a young woman races against time to rescue her kidnapped brother.
Yes, you've added urgency, you've raised the stakes, and it just sounds more dynamic and engaging. And speaking of emotion, that brings us to include the stakes.
Because if there's nothing at risk, why should we care?
Exactly. The stakes are what make us emotionally invested in the story. They create that sense of, oh man, I hope they succeed, because if they don't...
Right, like the world might explode or, something equally dramatic. So you're not just presenting a problem, you're showing us what's at stake if that problem isn't solved.
Precisely. And that brings us to our final tip, which I know might seem a bit counterintuitive, but trust me on this one. Avoid names.
I've heard this advice before. Throws me off a little.
Hey, it's your humble host. Just wanted to pop in and invite you to try the Word.Studio logline writer. It's a crazy awesome writing tool made specifically to generate great loglines. It's truly amazing what this can do. All you need to do is fill in a few blanks about your movie or idea for a movie, and you'll get an attention-grabbing logline drafted in a few seconds. Oh, and speaking of attention, let's get back to the podcast.
You're trying to capture the essence of the story. So instead of saying, John Smith, a down-on-his-luck detective...
You just say, a down-on-his-luck detective.
Exactly, because we already have a certain image in our minds when we hear that phrase, right? There's no one-size-fits-all answer, but I think a good rule of thumb is to ask yourself if the name adds something specific and irreplaceable to the logline.
Like if the story hinges on a historical figure or a really distinct persona.
Exactly. Take Schindler's List, right? You can't tell that story without Schindler. His name is inseparable from the impact.
Right. That makes sense. It's like the name itself carries so much weight. But most of the time, we're probably safe sticking with those archetypes, those broader strokes that let the core conflict shine through. So we've got our concise, unique, active loglines packed with stakes and devoid of extraneous character names. Are we ready to see how this all comes together in practice?
Let's do it. I think it's time to put these tips to the test. I'm ready if you are.
All right, ready to put on our screenwriting hats and whip up some loglines.
Let's do it. I got my metaphorical popcorn ready.
Me too.
Okay, how about this? A reclusive writer discovers that the characters in his latest novel are coming to life and wreaking havoc on his small town. What do you think? Could that be a log line, or does it need some work?
Ooh, that's good. It's got a great hook. But maybe we can punch it up a bit. How about this? Desperate to save his town from his own twisted creations, a reclusive writer must confront the characters of his latest novel as they leap off the page and into terrifying reality.
It's all about tapping into your creativity, understanding the fundamentals of storytelling, and then practicing, experimenting, and finding your own voice.
So to all our listeners out there, get out there and start loglining. Turn those movie dreams into reality. That's a wrap on today's deep dive into the art of the logline. Until next time, happy writing.
Hey, it's me again, real quick. If you enjoyed this episode, please let us know by emailing us at hello@word.studio. Let us know what you liked, what worked, what didn't. Hate mail. We want to hear from you. And if you're curious, head on over to Word.Studio and try some of the tools.